started. My name is Kathy, and I'd like to welcome everybody. We're very happy to have Keith as our presenter today. A different presentation today. And I wanted to also bring to your attention that we, do you have it up in the chat, Dan? The two things, the links?
Working on it. Don't rush your miracle, man.
Okay, so Dan is putting a couple of links to a show that Keith is going to be in, his last show before his surgery, and then also the Monterey Bay show that is coming up next week. So those two events will be in the chat shortly. And want to get everybody aware of both of those. And I think John also put something in. Oh, John already put in them on our Facebook show. Okay. So you can skip that. Dan, oh, John already beat you to it. Okay. Keith, are you all set up?
Well, we'll see. I got everything in arm's reach, I think.
Okay.
But,
I mean,
we'll see how it goes.
I can kill some more time if you are not ready.
No, it's fine. It's just once I get going, who knows? I probably forgot something, but
Okay. Well, let me
just go and
Let me talk briefly about what we're going to do with the raffle.
Sure.
We have something of Keith's that we're going to be raffling away, and it's a pot of his. So if you stick with us to the end, we're going to have something that we will be giving away. So stay tuned, and Monica is going to help me with that raffle. So bear with us. And also, yeah, we'll have some treats for you in store. So hang in there. Okay. So Keith, you're on.
okay, I'm on. So I don't know. All right, so what we're gonna do. So I've got a couple of plants here, and I've been wanting to make pots for it, and then Kathy brought this up. So I've been waiting for this meeting to make pots for this. So this is a double Euphorbia obesa that I want to make pot for. It's in a 6-inch round pot here. And so that's one of the ones we're going to do today. And if you have any questions or, I don't know, I've never done anything like this before. So we're just going to play it by ear and see how it goes. So what I usually do is I know how much root mass is in there because I've grown this for a certain amount of years. So I'm just going to measure the overall diameter, which is roughly 8 inches, a little more, and it's about 5.5 inches tall. So when I'm making a pot, and this is something I could use in a show. So a show pot and a growing pot is different because, at least in my opinion, a show pot needs to be proportional to the plant. If I wanted this to grow, I would put it into either something this size or a little bit bigger. A show pot kind of slows things down because they're so small. And because this, I'd like to make this about maybe 2 to 3 inches deep compared to, what is this, maybe 4 inches deep here. So I keep that there. I'm going to use the red clay here. So with my wire. And if anybody's got any questions, I don't know how you want to do that. If just do them as we go or at the end or whenever they come up, doesn't matter to me. So we'll cut off about like that. That's probably maybe 4 or 5 pounds. taking it, it was in a square form. Now I'm making it into a round form. I'm gonna make it sort of around here so it sticks to the bat. The bat is the surface that I'm going to be working on. What I have is a kick wheel. I prefer a kick wheel over an electric wheel just because of the unevenness of the rotation. So every time I kick with my left leg, the wheel speeds up, and then when I take my foot off the pedal, it slows down. So it always is doing this kind of a motion, and I like what that does in the final piece. You can actually see it. It does. It's not. If it's a constant speed, everything is very symmetrical. This way, it just is off. It's off just a little bit. So I get my hands wet, so that it just moves across the clay. It doesn't stick. Now I'm just forcing it into center. And this is the hardest part to learn. If you're doing a wheel, is getting it centered.
Recording in progress.
Keith, if I could just interrupt for a second. The video is kind of wonky. I'm wondering if people turn off their videos, if that might help the transmission.
I suspect that it won't make much difference, but it's worth a try.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
All right, so now I'm going okay?
A little bit better.
All right. All right, so now I'm coning the clay, getting all the clay particles to go in the same direction. Now, open up the clay, just going down the side, my thumbs. And I push all the way down until I can feel the bed. And that's where one of the drain holes will be. This is pottery, you know, whenever you're working on a wheel, this is just called a simple cylinder. everything starts off with the cylinder. It's altered from there. I'm always applying water to the surface so my hands don't stick to the clay. This way this glides across the surface. All right, so then I just double check my circumference or diameter here, which is inside is about 3, outside is about 4.5. Then I have a rib. This is the metal rib for getting the slip off the outside. Slip is the liquid clay on the outside of the pot. So I'm going to remove as much as I can. And then take some of the compressed rim here. And this is sodium silicate. And I'm going to brush this to the outside of the pot. take the torch, right out outer surface. Now, all right, so that's the basic shape there. We'll check the circumference or diameter again. It's roughly 9 on the inside. That is roughly 9. So the clay, so this is 9 inches. It'll dry roughly, lose about a ½ inch while it dries, and then another inch till it's complete. So if it's 9 inches now, it'll be about 7.5 when it's complete. So we're going to go a little bit wider. So now we're closer to 10 now. 9.5, 10. So that should be good enough. All right, so now the bottom, I'm going to compress the bottom so it hopefully will not crack. Make it smooth inside so the water can all flow out without any restrictions. Check one more time. Still 9.5. So now Board here, set to the side. This is my cutoff wire. Just gonna cut that off. Break the suction, move it over here. Clay that's left on the back. Clean that off, and I'll save that for later for something. All right, so now what I want to do is kind of make it into an oval, since this is, fairly narrow this way and wide this way. So I don't want it as wide this way as it is this way, if that makes sense. So we'll just kind of press that into an oval shape. That, just check again. So now we're at just about 10. Looking at it from the other side. All right, so now where are we at? This is inside diameter is what, 7? And then this direction is 10. So it'll be roughly 8.5 diameter by 5, which would be just about right for that. If I wanted to go more, I just push it in a little further, which I could do that. Yeah. And then there's always a front and a back to these things, just like a plant. There's a front and a back. I like that side. I like this side better. Has a little more character to it. All right, so that. Drain holes. I tend to put more drain holes. And that's what, 3/4 of an inch diameter now. So it's a little over 1/2 inch when it's dry or complete. And blocks go. There they are. All right, so there. Ooh. bottom. And then a couple of ways. And I changed my mind the way I want the foot. So just doing something a little different here. See, then you can't see it. Anyway, I made these grooves here so the water has somewhere to go after. If you've had this on a flat bench without any slats for the water to drain away, the water has somewhere to go. I'll have to redo my drain holes. And then make it somewhat flat. So I got that on there. And this is the back. And so whenever I make a pot and I put my stamp on, I always put it what I think is the back of the pot. You know, but some people like to have it showing, so they move that to the front. So, but usually I always put my little stamp here, what I think is the back of the pot. That, make sure it's the right side. Just push that into the side there. Back. Back over. Out the inside where I got the drain holes going. And when your hands get dry, they get sticky to the clay. So I always got to keep moisture on my fingers. Won't stick to everything. So now I'll go back and check that. 10, 7, so make it a little bit narrower. I'll just store it on it a little bit. And that's it. So then this shape will mimic the plant somewhat. Let me see. So maybe a little deep. If it doesn't work, then I'll make another one. Any questions?
I have a question about the silicas and the torching. What was all that about?
So if I don't put anything on the surface of the clay, it just kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but it just bends and moves with the pressure. So if you when you put the sodium silicate on, test here. Brush. Take some of the sodium silicate and brush it on here. Oops. There. Piece of wood here, so I don't melt my plastic. So by adding sodium silicate, when you bend it, then it cracks.
Oh, so you want that texture.
Yeah, so the surface just cracks because the sodium silicate, I don't know the science behind it. All I know is it dries the surface more than the inner part of the clay. So it'll crack, and you could do it. So like this other side. And it depends on the type of pot. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Seems like most people like that texture. So I do it, fairly often. So then like this little piece, this is how I make whenever there's little scraps or anything. So way. Board back. And then I just form this into a little pinch pot. Works good. This works good for like conophytums, a little adramycus. Crassulus. Little cacti, Fralias or Losfeldia. Any of these little guys. Just a little pot there. Drain hole. Stamp. And it's quite the process. And then, so put that back here, rub that in so it sticks. push and pull on it so it's not completely round. And then there's a little pot. And then I set them out here in the heat of the driveway. All right, we're gonna do, what do you want to do now? Do you want to do some questions kind of thing? You want me to keep going, or what do you want to do?
Anybody else have questions about what he just did?
What
Yeah, I got a question.
Sure.
Yeah, about the drainage holes. So I noticed, I was wondering if you could show us the tool and explain it, but also on the first pot, I noticed you made the first drainage hole and then you put your finger in that one as you're making the second. Was that just so the first one didn't collapse while you were making the second hole? Like you
Oh,
were kind
so
of like that.
you mean on this one? Where I
Yeah.
put one hole?
You
Yeah,
put the
so
first
just
one-
kind of, so let's see. So basically I just go in like that, and this is just a hole punch you get at the ceramic store.
Cool.
And then I just use, this is a trimming tool, and it just happens to fit perfectly, and I just push the clay out. And then, yeah, I do kind of support the other side. I kind of let the clay collapse. That's why I do everything in one step. And because so what most people do is they got it, say, to the oval shape, and then they set it aside, let it firm up, a day or later on that afternoon, and then add feet and do all this other stuff, where I kind of like to, while it's still soft and pliable, I don't want it to be so symmetrical looking. So I just do it all while it's still wet. It kind of sags and misshapens, and it just gives it a little different character.
Thank you.
Sure.
Quick follow-up to Kathy's question. What
Uh-huh.
happens if you torch the clay without applying the sodium silicate first?
Let's see. Do I have one? I don't have one. So if you torch the clay without the sodium silicate, it'll dry the surface, but it's going to crack. How do you explain this? It's going to crack differently. The cracks will be further apart usually, or depending on the type of clay. So like if the clay is, there's plasticity in the clay, like this clay here, if I didn't put the sodium silicate on it and I stretch it, it'll have a little bit of cracks in it, but not really, because the clay is so plastic, it just kind of expands even with the heat applied to it. There's some clays that the clay is considered not plastic, so it's more of a hand building sculpture clay that will have different characteristics. So the type of clay and the process varies. There's a couple of clays that I never use sodium silicate on because I like the way it cracks, without. Some like this type of clay, anything really smooth and plastic, porcelain, some of the B mixes like that are smooth, and they just don't crack well without the sodium silicate on it.
Thanks.
Or not as pronounced. So you want me to make another one or what? I don't.
Any other questions?
All right, well,
I wouldn't mind seeing another.
all right, see another.
All right.
For somebody that doesn't have access to a kiln, can you kind of get close to any of this?
Well, most people that have no access to a kiln, they just take them to a studio, because most places will rent you kiln space. Depending where you are. I know in Southern California, there's many places. I'm not sure around here, but most studios will rent kiln space. I know up here, there's a couple places in Sacramento that does it. I'm not aware of any in Modesto. But same thing, San Jose, you just contact your local, like colleges. If they have a ceramics department, we'll do that. These little paint your ceramic studios will we'll rent kiln space and that kind of thing. And so you can go and buy, 25 pounds of clay and just make little pinch pots at home and then take them in and have them fired and be done with it. Yeah, you can get the air dry clay too. They have air dry that works pretty good. You just have to seal it. Use a spray sealer so water doesn't penetrate into it. And that where I've seen people use that a few times. There's oven baked clay as well, same thing. If you wanted to do raku type work, you could do it. You could do it in the barbecue. I've done that before. And just put stacked charcoal briquettes around your piece and light it up. And it gets hot enough, and then you just have to seal it. But it doesn't, kiln temperatures, depending on the type of clay, you want to get at least 2,200 degrees. So most, if you take it somewhere, that's fine. Like if you do it in the like a pit firing, whether it's in the ground or in the barbecue, that's maybe 1,000 degrees. You can get 1,200, and that'd be good. That'd be good for ornamental type stuff, but it wouldn't hold up for daily waterings because it would be weaker than terracotta pots that you get at Home Depot. It just disintegrate over time. Certain clays vitrify, like we don't have to worry about the freezing temperatures here, but if I'm making pots for a club up in Canada, and I have to use cone 10 clay to get it to vitrify so it can withstand the freezing temperatures. Down here, we don't have to worry about that. So you can get away with cone 6 and that kind of firing. Like I said, it's 2230 is cone 6. Cone 10 is 2340, I believe. So the other plant I have, this is the Euphorbia mammillaris variegata. I got it Home Depot for 15 bucks. And if you see the way it's leaning, it's just was not enough shade or not enough light. It's kind of elated, but I like the way it's leaning. So I'm going to create a pot to keep that lean. And as far as the front or back, I think this side is the front. So color clay. Let's do well. This is a white clay. Sponge. Cleaning off red clay. Add some more water. Wire back. Eight-inch pot. That's it now.
Does the different color clay indicate a different type of clay, or can the same types?
Well, they're all stoneware. So this is a white stoneware. That was a red stoneware. There's browns and blacks, but they're all stoneware unless it's porcelain or terracotta or low fire clay. This, for the pot I want to do, it's that I'm going to probably just stain this same with that one for the Obessa. I'm just going to stain it. I'm not going to glaze it or anything, just to highlight the textures. And so I'll do something similar with this. So if I was making mugs or bowls or plates or something to eat with, I wouldn't take it right out of the bag and use it like this. You kind of have to work the air bubbles out of it, where in plant pots, it doesn't really matter unless you're a perfectionist about that, where I think the little air pockets in the clay add just a different dimension to what the piece looks like at the end. Pat it down so it sticks. This is probably about maybe 7 pounds clay, 6 or 7 pounds.
Keith, when you talk about stains, are those permanent?
Yeah, so as you put the stain on so you fire the clay once, so you do a bisque fire, like all these pieces that I have out in the driveway drying are greenware, which I've just made, and then you let that dry completely, then you fire it to 1800 degrees, and that becomes a bisqueware. And then you can, that's when you would add your stains or glazes of that kind. And yes, it is permanent.
Huh, okay.
I don't know if you can tell on your end, but these clays are on the stiff side, and that's the way I like it. Some people like the clay very soft. I like the clay on the stiffer side. A lot of times I get the clays at a discount because nobody likes the stiffer clay, so I get it at a cheaper price since everybody passes it up. All right, so this is a different type of rib. This one has some texture to it, little teeth on there. And then it takes off the clay and then leaves that texture on the side. Top.
Keith, the question
Yeah.
has been asked, how much force is needed to initially shape the clay?
How much force? It depends how soft it is. So when it's firm, like I use it, I would guess that it's, imagine trying to squeeze a watermelon and burst it. So it's a fair amount of force because I'm pushing down. Because if you just push across, it will come loose of the bat. So you have to kind of push down and in. And it's quite a bit of force. If it's soft or, like a soft clay or porcelain, it takes very little effort at all. And that's why most people like the softer clays, just because it's a lot easier to work with. But it's, I don't know. I never measured actually how much it is, but like I said, just imagine trying to crush a watermelon in your hands, pushing against the table, and it would be about the same amount of pressure.
Good analogy.
And then, as it starts to form and smooth out, then you kind of let loose and you don't have to use as much force. But that initial grab is like that. All right, so now we got this far. And I'm not going to use any sodium silicate on this one. Same thing, we're just going to torch the outside a little bit. Let's see, 7.5 outside, roughly 5 inside. So I have about 3 inches to go. So do I want to do it that way? 7. Press the bottom. That's about 8, 8.5. So, let's see. My scraper go? Where'd I put it? Oh well. Oh, there it is. There. There's that. I'm just using a rock right now to alter the bottom. Alright. One hole is plenty for this. So smoothing the edges. There we go. No, not two. All right, so I'm gonna flip this back over. All right, so blend that in. That. And then put the stamp on somewhere. Back over. Where did I put it? Oh. To that. And that's that. And so do when it comes time to stage it, I'll angle it in here and I'll probably put a rock or something for it to lay onto instead of putting it in straight in the center. So same thing, I'll keep it offset the same way it is in this pot. Just put it right about there, leaning that direction. Probably put a rock prop underneath here till it grabs hold and then pull the rock out. And then I'll probably I might do a greenish kind of stain on this. So it'll kind of go together. But who knows, maybe not. I'll probably just go with a standard dark color that we have to go with anything. But anyway, that's a couple of ways that I make pots. This one, like I said, I didn't, one hole's plenty in this one. Because that one tends to like a little more moisture. All right, any questions?
Somebody must have questions.
Doesn't have to be for pottery, it can be for whatever.
Keith has fabulous plants.
Yeah, I got quite a few. I've accumulated over the years.
I'll ask
show-
another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
It might be loud because I'm driving. Is it horrible right now? I was wondering how many orders do you get a week, and like how far away are your orders coming in? Like, are you making pots right now that you got ordered months ago, or like how does that work? Because I know you're very popular.
It's usually about 4 to 6 weeks. So it's if somebody submits, like yesterday, I got a couple, and so I tell everybody 4 to 6 weeks before I can even start. And then once I start, it's depending on the size of the pot, could be anywhere from another 2 to 6 weeks, and also depends on the time of year. Like now, the pots dry fairly quickly. During the winter, they take forever to dry because it's cold and all the moisture in the air. Right now, I'm working on an order for Taiwan. 15 pots for this lady. I've been working on it now for 3 weeks, and I have 12 done, finished, and I have 3 more to stain or glaze or whatever. She just gave me a size. She wanted all around 5-inch diameter, and she said whatever. So that's the easiest kind of order, is just make whatever.
I see. And primarily, is it through Instagram, or do you have another platform I'm not aware of?
Usually Facebook or Instagram. Hopefully, while I'm laid up from the surgery, I'm going to get my website up and going. So hopefully, we can do orders that way eventually, by the beginning of the year, anyway. But like I said, I would say most orders are off Instagram, and everything I make is I have about 2/3 of everything I make is for orders. So that's why I don't have much, when I post things available, they go so quick because I don't post much very often. And then if I'm doing a show like the one I'm doing in 2 weeks, I got to have pots for that. So then I'm not going to be selling. I'll sell here and there, but the bulk of it is for that show in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Sure.
Keith,
Where's-
I have a question.
Sure.
Your walls look pretty flexible there. How thick are they, or do they vary?
Oh, and
Are
the
they-
walls. I'm looking at the walls of what? The house? the walls of the pot.
Yes.
It's probably 3/8 to a half inch.
Okay,
I don't make dainty pots. So there, if I was making a mug, I'd try to keep it around a quarter inch thickness complete. So 3/8 of an inch, a little thicker. But most of the pots I make are on the heavier side.
okay.
Someone posted in chat a question. Do you take formal classes and how long have you been doing ceramics?
Let's see. So my first pot was made in 2008 because Woody said, you need to take these plants to a show. And I said, I don't like the pots that are available. They're too expensive. They're too colorful, too this, that, and the other. And so, he kept egging me along. And okay, so I'll enter the show, but I want a pot. I want to make my pot. And so I went down and I bought 25 pounds of clay. Came home, got a wash tub, made a simple slump type pot over the wash tub, put my big cyclostemma in it, and took it to the show in 2008 and inner city show. Got on the trophy table, and that kind of started the whole mess. The first 2 years, I tried every technique I could come across to figure out how I wanted the look. And so I would say about 2010 is when I kind of developed the style that I like. In 2010, 11. And at that time, still, I was just making them for myself. And then somebody said, oh, can you make me a pot? Can you make me a pot? So I made here and there. And then I probably started selling maybe 2012, 2013. All self-taught. I YouTube a lot, and I don't know the rules since I'm not formally trained. So I do a lot of things that, like actually putting air into the clay, which, regular ceramicists would freak out if you're doing that kind of thing, because they say air is no good in the pot. But for plant pots, it doesn't matter. And same thing with like rust drying, firing, and open the kiln at 1,000 degrees. If I was making bowls, functional ware that you were eating off of, yeah, you'd have to let it cool to 150 degrees. But for plant pots, it doesn't matter. I do a lot of things that you probably shouldn't do, but that's the fun of it.
Okay. One other question in chat is, where are you located and do you offer in-person classes?
There's no really room for I'm in Modesto or Escalon, which is off of 120 on the way to Yosemite, about an hour from Yosemite, 2 hours from San Francisco, hour and a half from Sacramento. But I did classes years ago, back when we had space. Now I don't have space, so I don't do classes. But I've gotten a lot of requests, so maybe one of these days. Will I be in Monterey? No, we had plans and the plans canceled. So no, I'm not going to be in Monterey. I can't do too many shows because I'm just a one-man band. I'm the only one that makes these things. So, and I try to make 5 a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, depending on the size. Like big pots, usually 2 or 3, but if I'm making 5 inches and below, I can make 10 and 15. It just depends on what other chores I have around the house or anything like that.
Are you keeping an eye on chat, the questions, or?
Oh, am I? I didn't know I was.
Well, you read the last one, so I didn't know if you saw it.
Oh, well, I missed that. I saw something and then it flashed away.
It says, do you sell the pinch bowl you just made during the session?
I will sell it eventually, as it'll dry. like I said, it's about maybe 90 degrees right now, maybe a little warmer. I got out in the sun, so it'll probably be dry enough because I want to do a greenware load tonight. And so if it's dry, I'll fire it tonight and stain it in the next couple of days and fire it again. And you can offer it away to the club.
Show me, please send me pictures of the final pieces when they're done, so I can post
Okay,
them on.
yeah, I'll stage it up and then you can see what my vision was
That
or
would be
lack of.
lovely. Other questions for Keith?
Not really a question because I know the answer, and the answer is no. But the question is this as easy as you make it look? It's mesmerizing to watch you.
It takes practice. What do they say? 10,000 hours to master something. So, 10 years I've been fooling with this, and sometimes it doesn't go as smoothly, Yeah, and I have to be in a certain mood because one thing good about I do the wheel, I do hand building, I do all the different techniques, and a lot of it depends on my mood. Sometimes I just can't get into the feel of throwing on the wheel, so then I'll just do some hand building. But it's just doing it so many times, it looks effortless, but it's a lot harder than it looks. I've tried teaching people, and the hardest part is centering. And once you figure out centering, the rest is fairly easy. But for me, when I was doing the centering, I bought this wheel in 2010, and I took 25 pounds of clay, broke them down into 1 pound balls, and that's all I did was center. Put the clay in the middle, center, take it off, put another piece, center, knock it off, center, knock, and just keep centering over and over and over and over until I got the hang of it. And, I would do a few, I go in the house, watch a YouTube, come back out, try it again, get frustrated, go watch another video of somebody else doing it. And because everybody does it a little differently, depending on, how you were taught and your strength level and all that type of thing. So everybody centers a little bit differently, but it's basically the same. And so I would watch different potters center until, finally I got it. And then the next step is the cylinder. And so you practice the cylinder over and over and over and over until you get it. And then everything else after that is just play. You just try this, try that, see what works, see what doesn't. And add your flair, your take on the pot, because there's many techniques, and a lot of people will say that they created it, but a lot of it is just, because I get a lot of my ideas from looking at Japanese pottery from the turn of the century and old techniques. I don't watch many new what people are doing new style wise. I kind of like to go back in history and look at the old arts, old ceramic recipes, like clay recipes, glaze recipes. I look at some of the old, from the 40s, 30s, 50s, and see how I can update them and make them work into, how I do things.
Thank you. That was a much better answer than the question warranted. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, doesn't work out that way all the time. I could have just said yes or no. Where's the fun in that?
All right. Well, thank you, Keith, for a wonderful demo. We got 2 for 1 and actually 2 1/4. We got that little one too.
Oh, there you go. Yep. I'm
Um,
glad I could.
so thank you so much.
My pleasure.
So Annie's going to work out with you get the retrieval of the pots.
Okay.
And so I guess we'll do a raffle now. And we're going to do one of the pots today, and then we'll reserve one of the pots for another time. So if y'all want to turn on your cameras and or your videos, I should say, and if Monica can help me out with how we're going to do this raffle.
Kathy, should I pause the recording at this point?
I think since we're not going to divulge people's personal information, I think we're good.
Okay.
So Monica,
Yeah, so everybody was assigned a number, and we did just a random number generator, and for who wins the pot, and it was Kareen. I don't know who that is, but
Great.
who's
I
Kareen?
think
I'm
the
here.
easiest way would be for you to either message the club or Kathy, who is our club president, with your contact information so we can get the pot to you.
All right, and
Okay, I can do that.
oops. We lost Kareen's audio.
Audio.
There we are. What were you saying? Congratulations, Kareen.
Which pot?
It's in the chat. I posted a picture or a
Oh,
link to
okay.
the picture. So the thing is, our treasurer is going to be meeting up with Keith in San Francisco, so it won't be immediate. So there's going to be a little bit of a delay.
Well, I could always mail it from here. If you're gonna mail it, or doesn't matter to me.
But she's going to retrieve it from you and then we'll ship it out from
Okay.
here.
All right.
All right. Well, unless you want to do both pots today and then Keith can just ship them both out? Shall we just do that?
Whatever's easiest.
If you're willing to ship them both out?
Sure. You just add it to my my list of things to do.
All right. So I don't have a picture of the other pot in the link, but what happened to our, why have we got, what the heck?
Someone inadvertently enabled their screen sharing, and I'm trying to disable it. One moment.
Oh, Marilyn Hoffman, can you
Yes.
disable your screen?
Sorry, I'm not sure how to turn that off.
Marilyn Hoffman, can you stop sharing your screen, please?
Wait, I've got it. There. Sorry about that.
There we go.
And we're back to normal. Okay, so the other pot, we'll do another raffle. Can you do that, Monica?
Monica, you are muted.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just did another random number, and it is Eileen Mandel.
Whoa.
Ah.
Hi, Keith. Great.
Okay, awesome. So if you can, let's see, I'll put my email in the chat here. There it is. So,
See, wasn't it good? I suggested we.
Okay, where is it?
okay, if you want to email me your information, and I will relay that to Keith so that he can send it out to you. All right, congratulations to you both.
Yay.
All right, any last minute questions for Keith?
Okay.
And don't forget that he's, we put the information for his show coming up. What's the date again?
25, 26.
25, 26, and that's in San Francisco or Sacramento?
The Ferry Building, San Francisco.
Ferry Building, okay, perfect. All right. All right, well, I don't have details on our October meeting as yet. That's pending, but thank you all for being here. And Keith, good luck with your surgery. We'll have good
Okay,
healing
thank
thoughts for you.
you. Yeah. I come up with lots of ideas.
All right. Well, take care, everybody.
Thank
Alright.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Best of luck. That was really amazing to watch. Thank you.
Very interesting.
All right, thanks.
All right. Thanks, Keith.
All right, bye.
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 Bye.